Hello, everybody. We're back again today with our continuing series of classic album song rankings. Today, we're going to crank it up a notch and do AC/DC's Back in Black from 1980. I'm here with my usual partner, Sam St. John. Special guest today, Aaron Mutha Alamare. Great to have you with us. Thanks for coming on with us today, Aaron. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And this is, of course, 1980, their seventh studio album, their first with Brian Johnson after the untimely death of Bon Scott in February of that same year, 1980. Produced by Mutt Lange, of course, AC/DC's Australian hard rock band, that steady, thumping, driving rock and roll. This was recorded in the Bahamas. Got that all black cover. Aaron had the cover up earlier of AC/DC. Back in Black, sort of an homage to their partner there, Bon Scott, who passed away. Still in a mourning period. This came out in July of 1980, so what, 5 months after his passing? So unbelievable.
Yeah.
Anyway, I want to welcome everybody here. Sam, great to have you with us. I know this is a little bit out of our element, hard rock, but
yeah,
we're going to give it a show because it is a classic album. There's no question about it. We wanted to go through all the different genres. Aaron, when did you become an AC/DC fan? From day one, or did you got to go back and go through their catalog? How did it work out for you?
Well, I was born in 1970, so probably around 1971. No,
I bought it. It came out of the cradle rocking, man. He's out of the cradle.
No, I started out with the Beatles and stuff like that. So I didn't really get into hard rock until I was into my mid-teens. Into the hard rock and metal.
Right.
So probably around high school, junior high school, I was really getting into it. And I always liked AC/DC. I guess it would be around 83 or 84 when I started listening to them a little. And then I, went and got all the cassettes and became obsessed.
Was this the first album that you were familiar with, or were there others that led up to this? How did it work out?
Well, I think the first song I remember by them was Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. It was always on the radio. And I really always liked that, even when I was young, hearing it come on. They'd have like Another Brick in the Wall Part 2, and then Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap right after us for some reason. I remember that. And I always just like the heavier sound, even with the Beatles. I always liked their heavier stuff. And I just gravitated towards that. And then, once I hit high school, this album, Back in Black, became like our party anthem album.
Yeah.
Where we drive around drinking beers, playing it, and just one of those albums, one of the main ones we did that with. And I just had a lot of good times listening to this record.
How about you, Sam?
Well, I was going to ask Aaron really quick. Could you, did you know that it was the same band with the two different singers? Because, obviously the big hits, you had like Highway to Hell and TNT, the big Bon Scott hits. And then all of a sudden you get a guy that sounds kind of like Bon Scott, but he's obviously got the grittier, bluesier voice. Like, did you know that it was the same band? Because I know they were huge in Australia, and, those Australian albums were not known in the US necessarily.
Yeah, well, I not at first, but once I started listening to them a little bit, then I realized that the singer died. It didn't take me long. But the first time hearing it, I wasn't paying attention to stuff like that so much back when I was. But then it clicked with me, and I actually prefer the Bon Scott era a little more than the Brian Johnson era. But I like them both a lot. I think they're great. Some of my favorite albums are these, from Back in Black to Fly on the Wall. Those four are four of my all-time favorites.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, for me, I first heard this album all the way through in college. So obviously with classic rock radio, when I was in my iPod era, in high school, I had, You Shook Me All Night Long, Back in Black, like Thunderstruck from Razor's Edge. I had some of their hits on my iPod, and they played them on the radio. It's I knew them, I knew AC/DC. And then in college at our school library, they had CDs that you could rent out, and of course everybody would take the CDs and burn them to their laptops and have all this music. So, I did that with AC/DC. I had some Bob Dylan albums that I did that with, Fleetwood Mac. So my laptop had all this music on it that I could listen to while studying. And so I first heard this album, I just downloaded Back in Black, and I remember listening to it around my freshman year of college, and getting into the deeper cuts of AC/DC that are never on the radio. And I mean, I've always loved them. I mean, they're not one of these bands that are making huge strides in the studio necessarily. They stick to their driving guitars, bluesy rhythms, soaring vocals. They've got their formula, but it works for them. And there's a reason that they can still fill out, huge soccer stadiums, in their 70s. So, and it says a lot too that, the guys that are on this album are the same guys that are still touring, after a few hiccups along the way. It's the same guys from the Back in Black era that are still together. So they're a tight unit, and it's a really solid album. Really not one that you want to listen to necessarily while you're working, which is what I've been doing today, but luckily I don't have any coworkers around me. For them to get annoyed by loud guitars, but I was enjoying it. So it's a great album. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. I was a latecomer to this because in 1980, I was 23 years old. I was born in 57. So I was on to other things, listening to other music. And I kind of dismissed them as being, a little too hard rocking, almost metally for me. But my younger brother, who's 15 years younger than I, was a fan of AC/DC, and I heard it all the time. And eventually, when I started collecting CDs big time, when I started buying everything, I had to have something. And I had this and Highway to Hell. And I enjoy it. I really do. And listening it to the last couple of days on repeat, it's a really good album, I have to admit.
Yeah.
I mean, every song is quality, and there's something in every song I like, some more than others. I love that driving, that beat, that the drummer, I got to give props to him. He's fantastic.
Phil Rudd.
He really is the star of the show for me. I mean, I know the solos are great and the voice is great, but that beat, he gets it going in the beginning and it just drives right through the record. I think he's excellent, and the whole band's great, and they are tight. I never saw him in concert, obviously. I wish I would have now, because it would have been fantastic. How about you, Aaron? Have you seen him live?
Never got to see him live. I just never came to my area when I was available to go. So
Yeah, they were always here, and I blew the opportunity, and now I regret it. So, especially when Malcolm was alive and things like that, and it's cool watching
Idaho.
Counting. Yeah, I know. It's cool watching Angus with that backpack and the schoolboy outfit and just romping around the stage. It's unique. Anyway, we're here to rank the songs on AC/DC's Back in Black. We're going to go down 10 through 1. It's going to be Aaron, Sam, and myself in that order. So let's take a look and see what we got. What do you have at number 10, Aaron?
Okay, I'll have to say this was the hardest ranking I've ever done, because all the songs are equally good. I don't have a favorite on here like I do on some records, right? There's a couple, it's like, oh, these are my least, that's my most. I have a definite favorite, but all the rest I could change them up at any time. And so for this, I mean, being drunk last night, I changed it up a little bit. I listened to it again twice yesterday and changed it just slightly. But I came up with Shake a Leg as my number 10, even though I really like it. It's kind of a little bit faster than some of the others.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Out of those, there's just so many good songs in here. I had to put one at 10, and that's what I came up with Shake a Leg.
Very good. Sam?
For me, it's the kid-friendly "Let Me Put My Love Into You." Number 10 for me. It's a great song, and I forgot, because I haven't heard this album probably all the way through since college. And I've been in, that was 10 years ago when I started college. And it's a great song. Listening to it in the last couple of days, this song really reminded me of some Kiss. I mean, it had some Kiss elements, not necessarily the vocals, but just the music of it. It sounded like just some of that, early, late 70s, early 80s Kiss. Funny song. I mean, it is funny. AC/DC does have a sense of humor. Mm-hmm. Even though their beats and their chords are really serious and crunchy. This one just ended up being number 10. I like it a lot, though. I mean, kind of like Aaron said, there's not a song on here that's like, oh, let me skip this thing. It's not like, I mean, even there are some Beatles albums, where you hear a song, some people don't like Within You Without You because of the Indian nature or something like that you would skip. But because all these songs have those core elements of AC/DC in them, you're like, all right, this is pretty good. It might not be the one that, you know, sticks into your mind, but they're all, like we all said, super solid, but this one made it to number 10.
Yeah, mine was Shake a Leg also. So Aaron and I agree on this one. I like the bass and the drums on it. It's faster paced. I have that written down, but that solo kicks butt at the end there. Blistering solo, and it's all attitude that you want to get behind it. You watch it. I watched the video this morning about the live performance, and it rocks, man. There's no question about it. But it's number 10 for me, just for probably the lack of lyrical content. Not that any of them have it, but this one has the least amount for me. It's a pure rocker, let's face it. All right, number 9.
Right, my number 9, and this one could easily be my number 2. I like it that much, but it's What Do You Do for Money, Honey? And I really love that song. It's a really good song. It's just I had to rank these somehow. And this, like I said, this is really hard, and that's when I put it 9. I like the singing. I like the lyrics of it a lot, actually.
Yeah,
it's one of those tongue-in-cheek ones as well. But that's probably, listening to it over and over the last couple days, that was the one that came out just a little shorter to me, honest. Even though I really like it. It's a great song.
yep.
Yeah.
Sam.
Well, my number 9 is y'all's number 10, Shake a Leg. Similar reasons y'all talked about, but I kind of, again, I was noticing things and like musical themes and the songs this new time around, and this one reminded me a little bit of Zeppelin. The way that Brian's singing is, and the way that Angus is playing, it's kind of almost got that Jimmy Page crunchy sound to it. I love Phil's drumming at the beginning. It's very heavy at the beginning of that song.
Yeah.
But Brian really wails this one. He really does. And I don't know if he was trying to prove a point on this album, or if he was just, you know, in mourning as a fan of the guys, you know, because I mean he knew Bon Scott. And again, I don't know the history of AC/DC, but I don't know that he ever officially met Bon. But he definitely, you know, appreciated his style, and you can hear kind of, you know, some of that in the singing. So yeah, this one made it to number 9.
Yeah, my number 9 is Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution. I like the song. I don't want to get anybody angry, but it has that blues rock beginning, and then it builds up and it turns into this anthem, and it sticks in your head. I mean, I was like humming that all day today, you know. Rock and roll ain't noise pollution. Rock and roll ain't gonna die. Rock and roll, it will survive. I mean, that's anthemic. Those lyrics. So it's number 9 for me. I like some of those more sexual innuendo ones a little bit more. They're gonna be in my 6, 7, 8, just to be honest. A little prequel there. All right, Aaron, number 8.
Number 8 is the first song I heard from this, and it was one of my favorite songs when I was a teenager. And She Shook Me All Night Long. It's just, I really like it, but I've heard it so much that it's just not as impactful as it used to be, even though it still is good. I'm still like, I don't dislike it now, even. It's not one I skip,
Right.
but it's just, I've overheard it, I think is the reason.
Yeah.
And when I was younger, this would probably be in my top 3.
Yeah.
I just from, you know, how many years that, 30, 35 years of listening to it.
Yeah.
Hearing this one most is probably why I did it. So
Yeah,
I get that.
got a lot of energy, and I love the energy and the vocals on it a lot, though, and it still gets you.
Yeah.
When you hear it, if it's old.
Definitely. Sam.
Number 8 for me is Have a Drink on Me. Again, another AC/DC, really, you don't think of them as being one of the bluesier bands. I mean, you always think, you know, of Zeppelin or, you know, even parts of the Who maybe, but AC/DC's definitely got that blues element to their singing. And this one is prime example with that opening riff. And then again, with Phil's drums, I'm going to keep bringing Phil up. But just some great lyrics. I mean, the verse that I wrote down was dizzy, drunk, and fighting, and on tequila, white lightning. My glass is getting shorter on whiskey, ice, and water. So come on and have a good time and get blinded out of your mind.
Yeah, right.
That should be your theme song on Tipsy Tuesday.
I was just going to say the same thing. I was going to say, we got to hear that on Tipsy Tuesday.
You just got to pay the royalties if you play the AC/DC version.
I'll
But-
pour a beer myself and drink it with you on that Tuesday, Tipsy
Yeah,
Tuesday.
but
It's a classic.
It's a great song. I love the opening. The
Yeah.
opening is what stood out for me for that one. So
Very cool. My number 8 is the one Aaron had. What do you do for money, honey? I like this song too. It's got the hard driving beat, sing along chorus. You know, when you think about it, even though it's hard, what do you do for money? Yeah, I'm into that song, and it's talking about a gold digger, possibly a woman. What do you do for money, honey? It's catchy, but I put it at number 8.
Cool. All right, my number 7, and I love this song too. It's "Giving the Dog a Bone," but it's it's fits right in with these songs, and you know, it's like I said, the whole album's like one great big long great song to me.
It
but
is.
Yeah. But you know, "Giving the Dog a Bone," and that's a catchy song too. It sticks in your head. I mean,
Mhm.
it's just got that catchy chorus. But I had to put it at 7.
Yeah,
That's my number 7 too.
mine too.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
We all
Oh
have it.
wow, that's cool. It all made it. Yeah, I mean, the lyrics are self-explanatory.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. Like Aaron said, I mean, that like anthemic chorus where they're all singing, you know, "Giving the dog a bone." It's just
Yeah.
it's just a great song. And this whole album, I mean, it's not a concept album, but all these songs work on this album as like a theme. That's, you know, but yeah, number 7.
Yeah, I have it at number 7. It's just loaded with sexual lines, one after the next. I can't get into it. It's a little graphic for our younger audiences, but it works. It's sex, drugs, rock and roll, right? This is what it's all about. I mean, it's balls to the wall, rock and roll. I love the song. If I was going in before I started listening to the album again, I would have put it last. But then I started listening to it, and I'm going, nah, it's moving up a little bit, man.
Mhm.
Right in the middle of the pack, number 7.
Yeah.
Yep, that's a great one.
Yep.
Hey, we're at
Number 6.
number 6, and this could easily be my number 2. I mean, all these coming up are like favorites of mine, but it's "Shoot the Thrill." Love "Shoot the Thrill," but it for some reason I like the 5 songs a little better, but
Yeah.
it's just got that. It's so energetic and it's just so rocking. I really love "Shoot the Thrill," and it really isn't that the second song on the record?
It is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right after "Hell's Bells" is "Shoot the Thrill," and it just really sets the tone of the whole album. Those two going into each other, and it's a great song.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just this is a hard list for me.
It is. It's tough to put that at 6, but I hear you.
Yep.
Yeah. How about you?
Well, for me, there's my shocker moment, my thing. My number 6 is the title track, "Back in Black."
Interesting.
It's just one of those songs. I mean, it's a great song, and good. When as a kid, you know, 13, 14 years old, hearing that song, you thought you were automatically a hard rocker. You know, you're like, oh yeah, because that's the one that made the charts and everything. And it's kind of like what Aaron said with "You Shook Me." It's just it's everywhere, and I mean, it's in Walmart commercials. It's, you know, at every sporting event you go to, high school bands play. I mean, it's everywhere, and it's one of those songs for me that I kind of need to lock it away for about 15 years and come back to it. But that's why. But I mean, it's kind of their tribute to Bond. A lot of people think, and another thing that I failed to mention that I've read somewhere is that there's been some discrepancy in terms of who the actual songwriters are for a lot of these songs, because they say a lot of these potentially could have been around when Bond was alive, because like you said, it was only a few months after he passed that the record was out. So but Brian, it's mostly Brian and Angus all over the writing credits. So, but anyway, that's just a side note. So "Back in Black" is right kind of in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, my number 6 is the one you had earlier, Sam. "Let Me Put My Love Into You." I like it. Basically a guy telling a chick how hot she is and suggesting lyrics again, and "let me cut your cake with my knife." Just little digs here and there, little innuendo. It's got the great guitar solo, like every single one of these does. Angus ripping it up. So that's where it's at. Number 6. I wanted to put those sexual songs kind of right near each other. It's hard to choose between them. It really is. Tomorrow they could reverse order. So it's one of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so we're into the top 5 already. That was quick.
Top 5. Yep.
Yep. All right, my number 5, and there's a reason this is not a little higher, even though I love this song. It's the lead-off track, "Hell's Bells," is my number 5. Love that song. It's got a great solo, kind of like he does. They're not really intricate solos, but they are so memorable.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about them. They're sometimes when you're not going as fast and just making them sound right, it's better than all the speed to me.
Yeah.
And that one's one of the best solos. And for some reason, and Metallica ruined this song for me, because even though this came out first, every time I hear it, I think it's going to go into "For Whom the Bell Tolls" by Metallica.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just one of those things. But I love the song. It's a great one, and a killer lead-off track. One of their best lead-off tracks they have on any record, really. And it's I love it. So
Great.
made my top 5.
Yep.
Number 5 for me, you all both mentioned it earlier. It's "What Do You Do for the Money?" At least Rich, I think y'all both have mentioned it. I'm
We
not
both
sure.
had it. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, again, it's one of those songs that reminded me of a few years later when the Beastie Boys started putting out music. It sounds kind of like "You've Got to Fight for Your Right to Party." It's kind of got that, you know, that yelling chorus, you know. It's just great. And the line that really stands out to me, to say, "We're standing in a queue just to spend the night with you. It's business as usual again." I mean, it's just one of those songs. Not very deep lyrics. I mean, they kind of get right to the point, but it's a fist pumping song. I really like it a lot. I was surprised, because I thought for sure, you know, Back in Black would make the top 5. And then I heard that song again. I was like, I forgot how good that song is. So I bumped Back in Black to 6. So.
Yeah, I agree. My number 5 is Shoot to Thrill. Excuse me. It's about a drug pusher in the neighborhood, going to the housewives, loading them up with narcotics and pills or whatever. And this one builds to that rousing climax at the end. I like everything about the song. Makes the top 5, but the 4 in front of it are just total, you know, classics to me. This one's close, but at number 5.
All right, my number 4 has been mentioned by both of you already. It's "Let Me Put My Love Into You." And I love that the slow, it's kind of a slow, sometimes that makes songs a little heavier, even when they're just slowed down just a little bit like that.
Yeah.
It has that groove, and I love that. And it's just really infectious, and especially with a couple beers, that song just kind of grinds along. I love it, and that's my number 4.
Cool. Number 4 for me is "Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution." I've always loved this song so much. I love how it starts. When it starts, you don't think of it as AC/DC. I mean, if you didn't know the song, you know, you just heard it, just that slow, wow, 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 wow. And it's just like you were saying, Aaron, it's kind of like that. It's that slow, bluesy, and like that build up. And I know you're a big fan of like stoner rock. I mean, it kind of has that feel to it, which I'm not as familiar with that genre, but that's kind of what it reminds. It's kind of like a predecessor of that. And then just that drum comes in. And from what I understand, they'd already recorded the other 9 songs on the album, and the record company wanted to make the album a little bit longer. And so they said, y'all need to pump out a song. And so Brian and Angus wrote this in less than 15 minutes, and then they recorded it. So, and I think it was one of their higher ranked songs in terms of like Billboard.
Was it really?
But anyway, it's a lot of times it's one of those things, you know, where you write the song in 10 minutes, like on a napkin in a hotel room. Those are the songs that end up, you know, kind of like, you know, Give Peace a Chance or something like that. It's just one of those that becomes its own thing, and it's such an anthem for rock and roll. And I can imagine hearing this live and just going crazy, because it is such a, you know, it's an anthem, and I love it. It reminds me of my 15-year-old self. So
yeah, I can't.
Yeah.
I wish I would have put it higher now and talking me into it. That was a good one. You made a good case for it. I had it number 9. My number 4 is "Have a Drink on Me." That was brought up earlier. I love this song too, but basically about getting obliterated, fall down drunk. Unfortunately, that's the way Bon Scott died. I believe he died of alcohol poisoning. Maybe they were paying respect to him that way. I mean, even though it's tragic, Life in the Fast Lane. But this is the kind of material I think that appeals to a lot of ACD fans, that, you know, that party and atmosphere and just nothing, no holds barred. It's a great song. It's an absolute great song. And I think it should be the theme song of Tipsy Tuesday for sure. There's no question about it. I just
The only thing
love
is that I'm hearing it too much.
it.
But yeah, I get it.
Yeah. All right, we're now to the top
That-
three. This is the quickest we've ever moved. Go ahead,
That
I'm sorry.
happens to be my 3 anyway. So I drink on the Tequila White Line. I remember driving around in my friend's truck. He had a little a black pickup, one of those old style ones, and we'd be drinking beers, singing along to that song, and it was a lot of fun. And that Tequila White Light, and every time that comes on, it just gives me chills every time. Still,
Wow.
love it.
Yeah.
So, and I might adopt it, but I'm afraid I'd be get some copyright strikes
You
on that.
probably would. Yeah.
Yeah,
You can't
Unfortunately,
mess
want
with the
to-
bigger bands.
yeah, we don't want you booted from YouTube.
no.
There'd be a way to go though.
The blaze of glory. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, top three, man.
Top 3.
What do you got for
That
us,
was
man? That's it?
that was my number 3. Yeah.
Okay.
Drink on me. It's number 3. Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood.
Oh,
He went right into it. Segue.
yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Number 3 for me, Aaron had it further down, and I mentioned it earlier, was You Shook Me All Night Long. Again, takes me back to when I was a kid and listened to the song, and, you know, not fully grasping, you know, what it was all about, but this is the one that I think this was the first single that came out after Bon Scott had passed away. And so imagine, you know, being a fan, you know, in 1980, and hearing this, and you're like, well, that's definitely Malcolm and Angus, you know, on the crunch of guitars, but they're like, you know, they're going on, because they pretty much said shortly after he died that they were going to go on. And I mean, they've kind of gone through a lot of adversity as a band. A few years ago, Brian Johnson's hearing was an issue, and they had Axl Rose tour with them, and Phil Rudd had legal problems and all that. So they've had all sorts of things come up. But I love that intro, just the guitar, you know, that bow, no, 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 and then it just goes quiet, and then bow, doom.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's such a great song. It's one of the, it doesn't have a date on it. I mean, I don't think of this song being from 1980 or, you know, 1990, 2000. It's just solid rock and roll, and I love it a lot. So You Shook Me All Night Long is number 3.
Good one. My number 3 is Back in Black, title track. That iconic guitar riff. I mean, it is overplayed, but I don't care. It's sort of where hard rock and metal meet for me. It's like really, really ultra jacked up. I love it. A tribute to Bon Scott. It's a great song to rock out to. I had to put it in the top 3. Easy call for me. So that's it.
All right. My number 2. Is that where we're at?
Yeah.
Okay. It makes good sense. You know, it's rock and roll ain't noise pollution. Love that song.
Yeah.
Great way to record. And it's just one of those songs that just, you know, you hear the whole record, you're like, wow, that was really good. Then that one comes on, you're like, wow, this is almost like the best thing on it. To
Yeah.
me anyway. After hearing the album I've probably heard it 1,000 times in my life. Seriously. All the time hearing it, just hearing it. And, you know, but it's that song, it almost makes you want to start the record over. And when an album has a song like that at the end, it makes me really like it, and really like the album better too. So rock and roll ain't noise pollution, just a solid, great anthem song. That's my number 2.
Yeah, it's always good, because I mean, you listen to an album and you go to the B-side, and maybe the opening track on the B-side is pretty good, but then that's when the filler starts kicking in, and you're like, you know, I don't want, you know, it's a good album, but I don't want it to end. But like you said, it ends with a song like that, which, you know, is so simple, but it's, you know, it was a hit, and like it ends on that strong note. Like you said, you want to turn it back to side A and spin it again, because the album's just long enough to, you know, to satisfy you, but then it's like, you know, it's not long enough. You know, you want more of it. So that's a good point. Number 2 for me is Shoot to Thrill. I love this song. I love it. Obviously, I mean, it became huge a few years ago with Iron Man. Like that kind of became his big like theme song. And something else that I always remember hearing when I was a kid was, AC/DC, as far as I know, maybe they have since 2005 or so. I've never really put out a true greatest hits package, and I know a lot of people said that kind of is the reason that there's still such a strong unit, is because they didn't like their audience has to buy all the records to get their greatest hits. And I think that probably the closest thing they ever got was releasing that Iron Man soundtrack that had a bunch of AC/DC songs on it. Let's see.
That one too.
That one, yeah. Yeah. What's that one called again?
Who Made Who? It was a soundtrack for Maximum Overdrive, and it's basically a great, but it's only up to Fly on the Wall.
Okay.
And it's not got a lot. It has some that aren't really big hits too. But it's like a best of soundtrack. But other than that, you're right. They haven't had a complete one ever.
Yeah, it probably won't happen until maybe Angus passes, because Angus has been the one member, through everything. But anyway, it's a great song. It's one of those. It's definitely a theme song. Especially that huge ending with that scream. It's right on the verge of being one of the best screams in rock. I mean, it's right up there with "Won't Get Fooled Again." Where that whole build up. I'll shoot to thrill and I'm ready to kill. Like he just keeps going. It's just so good. And you can imagine what that studio looked like when he was belting that. But just a great song. That's the AC/DC song that really gets me going. So Shoot to Thrill.
Number 2 is Hell's Bells. I love the chiming, the church bells signifying maybe a funeral of Bond, and that's letting you know that they're grieving still. But then the music builds up. Johnson's voice comes on. Admittedly, it's not as good as Bon Scott's, but it's close. He's got the same vibe. It's just a little raspier, maybe. I love the guitar riffs in this song. It's anthemic, but I love Hell's Bells, and it's perfect song on this album for what happened to the band and so forth. So that's my number 2.
All right, and I really like how they combined Highway to Hell, and then the first song on Black and Black is Hell's Bells. So it's kind of Highway to Hell's Bells.
Yeah.
Oh,
cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Which makes you wonder again with the whole Bon Scott writing thing. Like, did Bon Scott ever have a hand in Hell's Bells? Because that was on his mind.
It's hard to believe that he didn't have songs ready to go when he died, and maybe they just picked them up, and it was easier to attach Brian's name to him to give him a songwriting credit. I don't know the behind the scenes story on that, but
yeah,
for them to put an album out in July when he died in February and come out with 10 new songs, it's pretty tough to do,
especially this caliber of songs. And
that's right. Yeah.
I always heard that they were getting ready to record Back in Black when he died, so
that's
right. kind of in motion with the record as it was. So
yeah, I've heard that.
But then he, got drunk and passed out in his car and choked on his vomit and died. And it's, horrible thing in rock history.
Maybe some of them were partially finished songs. They weren't completely finished, and they put the finishing touches on it. Not sure. And we'll probably never know, because there's money involved there, and they don't want to get sued or anything like that by the estate of Bon Scott or whatever.
Right.
So we'll probably never know. They probably swore to secrecy and all that kind of stuff with agents and, all that kind of lawyers, whatever.
They could have had the ready, and he hadn't done the lyrics yet too. So it's hard to tell.
Right. All right, we're down to the big one, the number 1 song off this album. What's it going to be? What's Aaron have for
I know. And for me, this was easy. It just epitomizes AC/DC, this song, and every time you feel it has that tough rock feel to it, where you hear it and you feel like you're tougher than you are almost. It's Back in Black. I love the guitar in it and everything, just how it starts. It's just always my favorite song from here. All the memories of when I was young listening to this record, and that song would come on, and we'd all think we were invincible. It's one of those things. all me and my friends, and we're drinking and Back in Black, and all of a sudden we're the toughest people on the planet. Yeah, just
Right.
which wasn't true, but we thought it was. But,
It's all up here. It's all up ahead.
And to me, this one has actually aged better than You Shook Me All Night Long, even though You Shook Me All Night Long is a great song. I love it. But Back in Black to me, just something about it has that I can't say it any better, just a tough edge to it. Just has that grit that I love. And I've always thought it was the best song. But from 2 to 10 on this, they could flip around for me at any time. They're all great.
Yeah.
So that's my favorite.
Very good. Sam?
Number 1 is Hell's Bells for me. Again, it's one of the best openers ever. Again, that slow intro, almost Black Sabbath-y. I mean, a little bit. I mean, not necessarily musically, but that beginning was very, dark. And again, you can imagine the fan base, because I wasn't around in 1980, hearing this church bell and thinking about Bond and all that stuff, and like, what's going to happen on this record. And then, of course, that whole opening, the down, 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 just very, again, just heavy song. Brian Johnson shows his stuff. I mean, this is, again, other than that single that came out, this is the first introduction we get to Brian Johnson, like Aaron kind of said, carrying that torch of the Highway to Hell and to Hell's Bells theme is really cool. I didn't think about that, but I love it. And I know that, I think that they set up like a studio inside of the bell so that they could get this, the mallet hitting the inside of the bell and have the full sound around the speakers. And just a fantastic song. Again, one of the best openings ever. And Brian Johnson kills it all over the whole album. And this is just the tip of the iceberg for what's to come on the album. But it's my favorite song. There's no question.
Well, we have 3 different ones. I went with You Shook Me All Night Long because I think it has the best combination of hard rock, hooks, solos, lyrics, riffs. It's melodic, it's sing-along. Just an absolute classic. It has everything I want in an AC/DC song rolled up into one. So that's why I put it at number 1 for me. And that's no disrespect to any of the other tunes on here. Like you guys have mentioned repeatedly, all 10 songs are excellent in their own way. But we have to pick something at number 1, and that fell number 1 for me. But fantastic. Anyway, now we have to rank the song on the old 1 to 10 scale like we do. This is going to be tough. Like I said, 10's the masterpiece, 1's garbage, 5's dead solid in the middle, mediocre. So Aaron, what do you have for this?
Well, I'm going to do a Spinal Tap, and I'm going to turn it to 11.
There you go.
Because I think this album deserves it, because I don't think there's a song on here that's lower than a 9 to me. I think every one of them is great. And for an album like that, I just think it's an all-time classic, and it's a big seller for a reason. It's actually not my favorite AC/DC record, but at any time it could be, just because it's so great. It's just I've heard it more than the others, from all the years. So I like a couple others better now, just from the lack of overplaying. But this is an all-time great album, and I would put it at 11.
Sam?
I'm going to give it an 8, just because I love the album. And I mean, I've explained this a million times, the reason I don't give 10s, but I mean, it's a solid album. And again, it's one that I don't own, surprisingly. And I need to get it, but especially after listening to it the past, few days here, just individual tracks and then the full album, but just a solid album. There's, again, the worst song on the album for me is a number 8. It's like there are, enough 8s for these songs, and then, a few 9s if I was to do it by song, maybe even a 10 on a couple of songs, but I would say averaging out, it would be an 8, maybe an 8.5. I'll give it an 8.5. How about that?
I'm gonna go 9. I was leaning towards 8.5, but then on re-listen, I can't give it anything lower than a 9 for me. I want to leave some space for some 9.5s and 10s, but this is a great album. I encourage anybody that has not listened to it in context of beginning to end, front to back, do it. You'll really be impressed by the album. I think it's the second biggest selling album of all time, as I recall, right behind Thriller by Michael Jackson. I mean, that's what I looked up today, and that's what it came across. That changes. I was surprised it was ahead of Dark Side of the Moon, but it was.
And Rumors.
And rumors. Yeah. But this is right there. This is easily one of the best albums of the rock era.
Yep.
You gotta check it out. So a must have in the collection. Sam, you gotta definitely add this one for sure.
Yeah. You can find it for $5 at Barnes and Noble, so I'll go do that.
I
And it's
recommend a vinyl. Great on vinyl.
Vinyl.
yeah, I
Yeah,
need to get a vinyl copy myself. I have it on CD only. But that's
And
one I have to
I
look
grew
for.
up listening to it on cassette, so that's how I
Mhm.
listened to it most of my life. Then I heard on vinyl, it's like a different animal kind of.
Mm. Yeah, I'm leaning that direction. I'm filling up the vinyl collection, so
All right.
yeah,
We want to hear.
I can do it.
Anyway, I want to thank everybody for checking our video out. Aaron, great to have you with us again.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure. I hope you'll come back when we maybe a couple months down the road when we get around to some more hard rock. We'd love to have you back.
Yep.
A lot of fun. Sam, pleasure as usual. Subscribe to these guys, by the way. I'll leave the links below to their channels. Aaron Mutha Alamare, Sam St. John. Leave some comments. Give us a thumbs up. That helps us in the rotation, get seen by more people. Give us some comments. We'll get back to you with some responses. So for Aaron and Sam, this is Rich. We'll see you next time out. Take care, everybody. Bye.